Did you know that teaching your child to journal can shape their emotions, build their confidence, and help them think more clearly for the rest of their life? Imagine a space, a quiet, gentle moment each day, where your child can pour out their thoughts, understand their feelings, and watch themselves grow. That space doesn't have to be a dream. With journaling, it can become part of your daily family rhythm. As a parent, you worry. You've seen your child get frustrated or overwhelmed. You've wondered how they can make sense of everything they feel and face. You want them to know themselves, not just be busy with schedules and homework. You want them to have strength when times are hard, to celebrate when they win, and to learn when things don't go their way. That's a big wish, and it's worth pursuing. Journaling offers a powerful path. It's not just about writing, it's about listening to your child's inner voice, fears, dreams, and questions. When your child puts pen to paper, they begin a conversation with themselves, one that teaches self-awareness, compassion, and clarity. That conversation builds resilience. It builds self-belief. In this audiobook, we'll walk through how to make journaling a gentle, practical, meaningful habit for your child. We'll explore how to introduce journaling, even if your child is young or reluctant, how to keep them motivated, and how to make this practice truly helpful, not another to-do item. We'll talk about age-appropriate prompts, simple journaling routines, and how to help your child navigate common mistakes, like discouragement when they think they're not doing it right. You may ask, when is the right age to start? Or, what if my child just writes, "I had a good day," every time? Those are real questions. We'll tackle them. And we'll do it in a way that respects your child's pace, your parenting style, and your family life. You'll have a clear, heart-led plan to bring journaling into your home. You'll understand how to guide your child gently, how to support their emotional growth, and how to help them create a space that belongs to them, a place where they can reflect, dream, and heal. This isn't about perfection. It's about presence. It's not about writing beautifully, it's about writing honestly. And it's not about filling pages, it's about building a conversation that lasts a lifetime. So, take a breath. Imagine handing your child a simple journal and saying, "Here's where your voice matters most." Imagine watching them return to it, day after day, growing in self-trust and inner calm. That vision is within reach. And I'm honored to walk with you there. Chapter 1. Let's begin. There's a quiet moment that happens in every home, though we often rush past it without noticing. Maybe it's the early morning stillness before school, or that soft pause in the evening when everything slows down. In those moments, children reveal a little more of themselves, through questions, through tiny worries, through the stories they tell. And hidden inside those stories is something powerful, the desire to make sense of their world. Journaling simply gives that desire a safe place to land. Parents often think journaling must begin with a lecture, a stack of fancy notebooks, or a perfect routine. But children don't need any of that. What they need is the sense that journaling is theirs, personal, private, and free from judgment. When a child feels ownership over something, especially something emotional, they step into it more willingly. That's the foundation we want to build. Many parents wonder, how do I even begin? The beginning is gentler than you think. A child's first experience with journaling isn't the moment their pen touches paper. It begins with the way you talk about feelings in your home. If your child hears you speak openly about your own emotions, not in heavy, overwhelming ways, but in small, honest moments, they naturally learn that feelings aren't strange or scary. When you say, "I felt frustrated this morning, but taking a moment to breathe helped me," or "I was proud of how I handled that problem," you're modeling reflection. Journaling grows from that of a journal, presented as something special. Children love things that feel like a secret treasure box. You might hand them a simple notebook and say, "This is a place for your ideas, your questions, your funny thoughts, your drawings, anything you want to keep safe." The key is giving the journal a sense of privacy. Tell them, kindly and clearly, that it belongs to them. You won't correct their spelling. You won't judge their handwriting. You won't look inside unless they invite you. That assurance alone turns journaling from a school assignment into something sacred. It's common for children to hesitate. They may stare at the blank page. They may write one sentence and close the journal. They may doodle for a week before writing a single word. All of that is perfectly okay. Journaling isn't about speed, it's about safety. Children only open up when they feel emotionally safe, and safety takes time. Instead of pushing, guide them with gentle curiosity. You can say, "What's something that made you smile today?" Or, "If you could write about one moment from today, what would it be?" These small, open invitations feel less like pressure and more like warmth. Age plays an interesting role. Parents often ask, what's the best age for a child to start journaling? The truth is, children can begin much earlier than most people imagine. A 5-year-old might not write full sentences, but they can draw pictures of their day. A 7-year-old might write a few lines. An older child might fill pages. The goal isn't the form, it's the expression. Journaling grows with your child the way a plant grows towards sunlight, naturally, gradually, and storytelling is a wonderful bridge. Kids love telling stories, even if those stories are full of half-remembered details and wild imagination. When your child shares a story aloud, you can gently point to their journal and say, "That would be a fun story to keep in your book." Maybe they draw the main character. Maybe they write one sentence about what happened. Over time, they learn that their journal is a home for their thoughts. If your child is older, they may already be wrestling with bigger emotions, frustration with school, nervousness about friendships, confusion about changes they can't quite name. Journaling becomes a tool for sorting through those emotions. But even older children need encouragement that isn't intrusive. Instead of asking, "Did you write in your journal today?" try saying, "If anything felt heavy today, your journal is a safe place to put it down." That turns journaling into a comfort, not a chore. One thing parents often forget is that children don't always know how to begin writing. Adults struggle with blank pages too, so imagine how overwhelming that can feel for a child. This is where prompts come in. Prompts don't have to be clever or poetic. They just need to open a small door. You might say, "Write about one thing that surprised you today," or "Draw something you wish you could do again." These gentle suggestions help the child find their starting point. Once they begin, their thoughts often spill out more easily. Storytelling is a wonderful bridge. Kids love telling stories, even if those stories are full of half-remembered details and wild imagination. When your child shares a story aloud, you can gently point to their journal and say, "That would be a fun story to keep in your book." Maybe they draw the main character. Maybe they write one sentence about what happened. Over time, they learn that their journal is a home for their thoughts. If your child is older, they may already be wrestling with bigger emotions, frustration with school, nervousness about friendships, confusion about changes they can't quite name. Journaling becomes a tool for sorting through those emotions. But even older children need encouragement that isn't intrusive. Instead of asking, "Did you write in your journal today?" try saying, "If anything felt heavy today, your journal is a safe place to put it down." That turns journaling into a comfort, not a chore. One thing parents often forget is that children don't always know how to begin writing. Adults struggle with blank pages too, so imagine how overwhelming that can feel for a child. This is where prompts come in. Prompts don't have to be clever or poetic. They just need to open a small door. You might say, "Write about one thing that surprised you today," or "Draw something you wish you could do again." These gentle suggestions help the child find their starting point. Once they begin, their thoughts often spill out more mistakes. What if my child writes something upsetting? What if their thoughts seem negative? What if they use the journal to complain? But journaling is precisely the place for those feelings. Children don't learn emotional regulation by hiding their emotions, they learn it by releasing them in a safe, controlled way. When a child writes about frustration, they're processing it instead of storing it. When they write about disappointment, they're learning how to name that feeling instead of letting it swirl around unspoken. A journal becomes a tool for emotional hygiene, like brushing their teeth, but for their inner world. Of course, there are practical parts to teaching a child to journal as well. Children respond better when journaling feels connected to a routine, not floating loosely in the day. The routine doesn't have to be rigid. You can connect journaling to an existing moment, after school, before bedtime, after dinner, or during a quiet morning pause. The goal is to help the child know, this is a time I can check in with myself. Even 5 minutes is enough. A short, consistent moment is far more powerful than an occasional long one. And yet, don't be afraid to break the routine when the moment calls for it. If your child comes home overwhelmed, if they're teary, if they're excited, if they're bubbling with ideas, sometimes the journal becomes the perfect place to channel that emotion right then and there. You might gently say, "Do you want to put that into your journal?" Not as a command. Before long, as the journal becomes a comforting companion. Children begin to turn to it naturally. They discover that writing calms the storm in their mind. They see that thoughts that felt big and scary look smaller and clearer on paper. They realize they can understand themselves better by writing, and that gives them confidence that carries into school, friendships, and everyday challenges. One of the most touching moments parents experience with journaling is when a child chooses to share an entry. They might read you something funny they wrote. They might proudly show you a drawing. They might hand you the journal without speaking, trusting you with their heart on paper. If they do, handle it gently. You don't need to analyze or correct. You only need to appreciate. You can say, "Thank you for sharing this with me," or "I love how you expressed that." Your acceptance reinforces that journaling is a safe, nurturing process. Sometimes your child won't want to share anything at all, and that's equally important. Their privacy gives journaling power. It becomes their territory, their emotional space, their private conversation with themselves. Respecting that privacy, even when you're curious, strengthens their independence and emotional confidence. Their journaling style will shift. A young child may draw pictures of feelings. An older child may write long entries about friendships, fears, and dreams. A preteen may use the journal to sort through confusing social moments or growing independence. Each stage is valuable. Each stage builds a layer of emotional maturity that will follow them for life. And this is where journaling becomes more than a simple habit. It becomes a lifelong anchor. When children learn young that writing helps them understand themselves, they carry that skill into adolescence, adulthood, and even parenthood. They learn they don't have to carry everything alone. They learn that sitting with their thoughts, instead of running from them, leads to clarity and peace. That's emotional resilience. That's wisdom. And it begins with a simple notebook and a few minutes each day. Teaching your child to journal isn't about producing a perfect writer. It's about giving them a safe place to grow. It's about helping them connect with themselves in a world that often moves too fast. It's about letting them explore their inner landscape without pressure, judgment, or expectations. And the most beautiful thing? You don't need special skills to guide them. You only need patience, warmth, and the willingness to let journaling unfold at their pace. Little by little, page by page, your child will learn to express, reflect, and understand themselves in ways that strengthen them and journal beside their children. This is a powerful tool, because children learn more by watching than by listening. If they see you writing calmly, without stress, without worrying about neat handwriting or perfect grammar, they will imitate that energy. A shared journaling moment becomes a bonding ritual. It shows your child that journaling is normal, safe, and enjoyable. One of the biggest questions parents ask is how to create a journaling habit that sticks. The answer is not strict scheduling. The answer is rhythm. Children thrive on rhythm, soft, predictable moments in a day that feel comforting rather than demanding. You can attach journaling to an existing moment. For example, right before bedtime is a beautiful time, when children's minds are full of lingering feelings from the day. Or early in the morning before school, when they're fresh and curious. Or during quiet time in the afternoon. What matters is not the time of day but the emotional tone of it. Journaling should feel peaceful. If your child resists journaling at first, do not force it. Every child has their own pace with expression. Some take to journaling instantly, others need time. Instead of insisting, simply return to it gently another day with a different approach. You might say, "Do you want to choose a sticker for your journal today? Or, can I ask you a fun question to write about?" Sometimes even just handing them colored pens or markers can shift the energy. Make the experience playful. Curiosity opens doors that pressure closes. There is something magical about watching a child discover a way to express themselves, really express themselves. You see it in the way their shoulders relax when they finally find words for a big feeling. You hear it in the quiet pride of their voice as they show you a sentence they're proud of. You notice it in the spark in their eyes when they realize they have a private space that belongs to them, a space where their thoughts, mistakes, questions, and dreams are all safe. That is the heart of teaching a child to journal. And the more we guide them into it with gentleness, the more they embrace it with joy. Most parents want their children to journal because they've heard it helps with confidence, emotional balance, focus, creativity, and even better sleep. But very few parents were ever taught a simple, stress-free way to begin journaling themselves. Many of us grew up thinking journaling had to be perfect, beautifully written, or deep and poetic. So when we try to pass the habit on to our children, we sometimes carry that old pressure with us without realizing it. But a child does not need perfection. They need space. And they need a gentle hand to show them that journaling is not homework, it's not a test, and it's not another place to get it right. It's simply a way of meeting themselves with kindness. So as we explore how to teach your child to journal, imagine you're not teaching them a skill. Imagine you're opening a small door, one that leads to self-understanding, calm, and a quiet kind of courage. Let's walk through that door together. Journaling feel like something children would naturally want to do, not something they are being required to do. You can think about it like inviting them into a cozy corner rather than assigning them a task. Children respond to things that feel special. They respond to newness, ownership, and freedom. That means instead of handing them an old notebook and saying, "Write in this," you create an experience around it. Choosing a journal is one of the most important steps, and not because the journal has to be fancy. It's important because it signals to your child that journaling is theirs. Let them pick the color. Let them choose something with a character they like or a pattern they think is cool. Let them explore until they find one that feels like a friend. This moment doesn't have to be dramatic, but it does have to be meaningful. When a child feels ownership, their interest grows naturally. Next, introduce journaling as something fun, free, and simple. You might sit with them and say something like, "This is a place where you can write about anything, your day, your feelings, your ideas, your dreams, your questions, anything that makes you feel like you." This gives them permission to be themselves. Children need that more than we realize. To help a child start journaling is to make the first entries extremely easy. Many parents worry about what age is right to start journaling, but the truth is, it depends on the child. Some children begin at 4 with simple drawings. Some begin at 7 or 8 with short sentences. Older children may surprise you with how quickly they take to it once they see it isn't complicated. If your child is young, let them draw instead of write. Drawing is journaling. It is a form of expression. A picture of a happy face, a sad cloud, or a bright sun can tell you more about your child's emotional world than a full paragraph. As they get older, those drawings slowly blend into words, sometimes single words at first, then short phrases, then thoughts. Children who can write simple sentences can start with easy wins. These are quick prompts that take less than a minute. For example, today I liked. Today I wish. Right now I feel. Something funny that happened was. These little prompts help your child understand that journaling doesn't have to be long or perfect. Even one sentence is success. In fact, the shorter the better in the beginning. This prevents overwhelm and builds more comfortable. You can introduce journal prompts that help them explore their inner world. Prompts are powerful because children often don't know where to start. Prompts provide a first step. And when that first step is easy, the next step becomes easy too. Parents often ask about the 5-minute journal method. And yes, a version of this works beautifully for kids. It can be as simple as 3 tiny prompts. One thing I'm grateful for. One thing I enjoyed today. One thing I hope for tomorrow. A child can complete these in under a minute. And yet the emotional impact is huge. These prompts strengthen gratitude, memory, and emotional awareness in the gentlest way. Whatever method you use, remember that journaling is not about correcting your child. It's not about grammar or spelling or neat letters. This is not schoolwork. If you correct their spelling while they are journaling, the activity turns into something else entirely, something pressured, something graded. Instead, honor the rawness of their thoughts. Celebrate the boldness of their attempts. When a child feels free to express without judgment, they go deeper. They learn to trust whether they should read their child's journal. This depends on age and purpose. For very young children, journaling may involve drawings or short entries they naturally want to share with you. This is healthy and good. But as they get older, journaling becomes a private space where they work through deeper thoughts. Unless your child is in emotional distress and you fear for their safety, it is best to respect their privacy. Trust strengthens the journaling process. Another concern many parents have is what to do if their child writes very little, or writes the same thing every day, or gives single-word answers. This is completely normal. Children are still learning how to observe their feelings. They are still learning the language of self-awareness. Writing one word like happy or tired is not a failure, it is a beginning. And every beginning deserves encouragement. If you want to gently expand their entries, you can sit beside them and ask warm, open-ended questions. For example, you wrote that you felt happy today. What made you happy? You wrote, tired. Was it a long day at school? These conversations help your child connect feelings to experiences. Slowly, they begin writing more on their own. Children often surprise their parents. They begin using their journals to solve problems. They write about playground conflicts, confusing emotions, dreams they had, or ideas they want to try. They start to understand themselves better. You may notice they become more patient or more thoughtful. Journaling doesn't change who they are, it simply helps them meet themselves gently. Now let's talk for a moment about common mistakes parents make when teaching children to journal. Many of these mistakes come from a place of love, not intentional pressure. One common mistake is making journaling too structured. Children need freedom. Another is expecting too much too soon, expecting deep reflection, detailed writing, or beautifully formed letters. Another mistake is trying to control what the child writes. And the biggest mistake of all is turning journaling into a task that must be done. Children thrive when journaling feels like a gift. Not a rule. Not a chore. A gift. And perhaps the most helpful thing you can do as a parent is to remove all pressure from the experience. Let your child write crooked sentences. Let them scribble. Let them draw. Let them write 2 words today and 2 paragraphs next month. Let the journal be a gentle companion, not a measuring tool. Everything your child writes is a step toward understanding themselves. Every drawing is a window. Every scribble is an attempt. And every attempt is worth celebrating. It's not about sitting them down and making them do the work. It's about helping them create a small, safe space inside themselves, a space they will return to over and over again as they grow, especially during hard moments. Journaling gives children a sense of inner stability. It teaches them how to name their feelings instead of hiding them. It teaches them how to ask questions, explore ideas, and find patterns in their emotions. And these are tools they carry into adulthood. As you guide your child, remember this: journaling is not just something you are teaching them for now. It is something that may shape how they understand themselves for years to come. And the gentler you are, the more they will love it. That is the heart of this chapter. And now, with your child gently stepping into the world of expression, habits, and emotional awareness, we can move to the next part, helping them build confidence, creativity, and self-understanding through prompts and practices that bring journaling to life. If you've ever watched your child begin something with excitement and then abandon it the next day, you already know what makes habits so slippery. Children live in the moment. They jump into things with bright eagerness but don't often have the inner structure to stay consistent. That's why journaling, for them, isn't just about writing. It's about being lovingly guided into a rhythm that feels safe, enjoyable, and personal. And in this chapter, we're going to walk through how you can help your child build a journaling habit that keeps growing with them. The first thing to remember is that children follow energy, not instructions. If journaling feels like a chore, they'll sense it. But if it feels like a cozy moment, a soft landing in their day, they'll return to it. Many parents imagine journaling as a quiet desk moment with perfect focus, but the truth is, children journal best when the environment matches their personality. Some kids love sitting in bed under a blanket. Others prefer the living room floor, belly down with markers everywhere. A few might enjoy sitting outdoors and scribbling thoughts while nature surrounds them. There's no right atmosphere. There's only the one your child responds to most naturally. Sometimes it helps to start journaling alongside them. Not because you need to write a lot, but because your presence signals, this is a calm moment, and we're in it together. Children are deeply influenced by what we model. If they see you writing even a few lines, maybe a gratitude note, a doodle, or a short reflection about your day, they learn that journaling isn't a rule someone imposed, but a gentle practice people genuinely enjoy. It becomes a shared ritual, like reading before bedtime or taking a slow walk. Some children resist writing at first. This isn't stubbornness. It's often uncertainty. They're not fully sure what they're supposed to write about. Their thoughts feel messy, too big, or too jumbled. So they freeze. This is where simple prompts can be a lifeline. Prompts give children a clear place to begin. They remove the fear of the blank page. Even something like, "What made you smile today?" or "What's one thing you wish you could change about your morning?" can open a doorway. And once a child walks through that doorway, their thoughts begin to unravel naturally. A lot of parents worry about choosing the right prompts, but the real goal is not perfection, it's connection. Journal prompts work best when they help a child notice themselves, their emotions, their day, their hopes, or even their frustrations. When children build the habit of reflecting, they strengthen something far more valuable than writing skills. They grow self-awareness. They learn to pause. They learn to look inside and translate their feelings into words or drawings. This is a lifelong gift. And yes, drawings count. Doodles count. Stick figures count. Journaling for children is not about perfect sentences or neat handwriting. It's about expression. Some children express better visually, so you might see pages filled with sketches instead of paragraphs, and that is absolutely part of the journaling journey. As they grow, those drawings often naturally evolve into labels, captions, or short descriptions. The writing comes with time, and much more easily when they aren't parents unintentionally make is correcting their child's journal. It usually comes from a good place, wanting them to improve spelling, form better sentences, or think more clearly. But a journal is not homework. It is a private emotional space where freedom matters more than accuracy. When a child feels judged or corrected in this space, the magic disappears. The journal no longer feels safe, so they withdraw. Protecting that freedom is one of the greatest gifts you can give them. Let their journal be beautifully imperfect. Another common challenge is consistency. Parents often ask, "How often should my child journal?" The truth is, there's no single answer. Some children enjoy journaling every day. Others prefer a few times a week. What matters more than frequency is that the habit feels manageable and enjoyable. Short, simple journaling moments, 5 minutes, maybe even 3, are often more successful than long writing sessions. Children thrive with small wins. So instead of saying, let's journal for 15 minutes, you might say, let's do one page, or, let's write one thing we're grateful for. That's achievable. And when they finish, they feel proud. You might even create little rituals around the journaling moment. A warm drink. A special pen. A calm song that plays for a few minutes. A short breathing moment before writing. Rituals help the habit settle in without force. They tell the child's brain, we're entering a peaceful space now. And that feeling is what brings letting your child choose their tools. Children love ownership. Picking their journal, choosing their pens, deciding whether to decorate their pages, all of that makes journaling feel more personal. It becomes their thing, not something you imposed. Some kids might even want to name their journal or create a little cover design that reflects their personality. These touches deepen their connection to the practice. Another powerful part of journaling is helping children use it during emotional moments. Not as a forced solution, but as an option. For example, if your child is overwhelmed after school, you might gently say, would writing or drawing about it help you feel lighter? Sometimes they'll say yes. Sometimes they won't. But simply giving journaling a role in emotional release teaches children that writing can be a tool for comfort, something that helps them unpack feelings that feel too big to hold. And then there's the beautiful side of journaling we often forget, joy. Journaling isn't only for problems or emotions. It can be a place for dreaming, imagining, and exploring. If your child enjoys inventing stories, you can encourage them to write or draw small pieces of their imagination. If they love nature, they can record something interesting they noticed outdoors. If they love jokes, they can keep a silly page of things that made them laugh. Journaling grows best when it covers the full range of life, not just the heavy worry parts. About privacy. They wonder whether they should read their child's journal. The truth is, privacy builds trust. If a child knows their journal is theirs alone, they write more honestly. They open up in ways they never would if they felt watched. Of course, there may be rare moments when a child's safety requires parental awareness, but in everyday life, granting privacy shows respect, and respect strengthens your relationship. As your child journals more consistently, they begin developing inner skills without realizing it. They start recognizing patterns in their feelings. They become better at remembering moments from their day. They improve their emotional vocabulary. They begin thinking independently. They start noticing the kinds of things that make them proud, upset, excited, or nervous. These small insights form the emotional intelligence they'll carry into adolescence and adulthood. But here's something even more beautiful, journaling helps you understand your child better too. As they become more comfortable expressing their inner world, their conversations with you become fuller. They learn to say things like, today I felt frustrated because, or I realized I was scared when, and suddenly, communication between you becomes easier. The journal becomes a bridge. If your child ever loses interest, and all children do, don't panic. Don't push. Just gently reintroduce the idea weeks later with a new prompt, a new notebook, or a cozy shared moment. Children go through phases. What matters is not that they journal perfectly, but that journaling remains a familiar, positive tool they can return to whenever to celebrate their efforts. Not the quality of the writing, not the neatness, but the courage to express themselves. A simple, I'm proud of you for taking time to write today, can boost their confidence more than you realize. Journaling is one of the simplest gifts we can offer our children, yet one of the most powerful. It helps them hear themselves. It helps them release what weighs on them. It helps them grow into thoughtful, grounded individuals who know their feelings matter. And your gentle guidance is what makes all of that possible. I want you to pause for a moment and think about the small but powerful gift you are offering your child. You're not merely teaching them to write in a notebook. You're teaching them to understand themselves, to slow down, to reflect, and to grow with intention. You're giving them a safe inner home, a place they can return to again and again, no matter what life brings. Throughout this audiobook, we've explored how journaling becomes more than a habit. It becomes a companion. It becomes a mirror. It becomes a gentle guide your child can lean on as they navigate confusing feelings, big dreams, and everyday challenges. And you, as their parent, are the bridge that introduces them to this powerful practice. You're the one saying, your thoughts matter. Your feelings matter. You matter. If you take nothing else from this journey, take this: journaling works best when it feels safe, simple, and supportive. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to follow rigid rules. It doesn't need to look pretty or impressive. It simply needs to belong to your child, in their own way, at their own pace. Some days they'll draw. Some days they'll scribble one short sentence and close the book. Every one of those moments counts. Every page is a step toward deeper self-awareness, stronger emotional balance, better communication, and greater confidence. And as your child grows, journaling grows with them. What starts as a simple daily check-in can evolve into a place where they set goals, track their moods, understand their triggers, and recognize the patterns of their own mind. Many adults spend their whole lives trying to reach this level of self-knowledge, but your child is beginning now, with your guidance. You've also learned that journaling doesn't need to be a struggle. It can be fun, creative, curious, and even playful. The prompts you offer are not instructions, they're invitations. They open doors. They give your child permission to think, imagine, and express without fear of being judged or corrected. The more relaxed you are in the process, the more relaxed they will be. And of course, you've seen that mistakes are not something to avoid. They're part of the experience. Days will be skipped. Pages will feel messy. Thoughts will come out unclear. But even in those moments, journaling continues to teach something valuable: the courage to show up, the patience to try again, and the acceptance that growth happens over time, not instantly. As a parent, you're not just teaching journaling. You're modeling it. When your child sees you reflect, express gratitude, pause to think, or take a moment to breathe before reacting, they learn to do the same. Your example becomes their quiet reminder that reflection is strength, honesty is healing, and stillness is not empty. It's ready to guide your child into a lifelong skill that will support them emotionally, mentally, and even academically. And the beauty of it is that journaling doesn't need expensive tools, complicated systems, or long hours. All it needs is a notebook, a few minutes, and your gentle encouragement. As you move forward, keep this practice light and meaningful. Celebrate the little moments: the first sentence, the first drawing, the first day they return to their journal on their own. These are the seeds of something long-lasting and deeply personal.